Science with Olivia, Science with Olivia, Science with Olivia, yeah!
Welcome to Science with Olivia. I'm your host, Alivia. Today's topic is vertebrates. We're going to discuss fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Each have their own orders, characteristics, special structures, and organ systems. First up, fish. Fish are broken up into three orders: Agnatha, which contains the jawless fish; Chondrichthyes, containing cartilaginous fish; Ostrichthyes, which has the bony fish. Some characteristics of fish include that they breathe through the gills, have a two-chambered heart, they're cold-blooded, and they have scales and paired fins, and they also have well sensory and nervous systems. Now about their organ systems. They have a closed circulatory system, an internal skeleton structure, and use gills for breathing. Their excretory system functions in ridding the body of waste. It also regulates the amount of water and ions present in the body fluids. The nervous system of the fish is poorly developed compared to that of other vertebrates. For example, the bony fish's brain is divided into three sections: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain is responsible for the bony fish's ability to smell. The midbrain processes vision, learning, and motor responses. The hindbrain coordinates movement, muscle tone, and balance. The spinal cord and matrix of nerves serve the rest of the body. Now, their digestive system. The food enters the mouth, goes through the esophagus, down into the stomach, and then the food gets digested into the pleuric ceca. Moving on into the reproductive system, most fish use external fertilization, although some fish, like sharks, reproduce internally. Some special structures of the fish include their lateral line, which is on the side of their body. It senses vibrations in the water for food and so they can look out for predators. They also have a swim bladder, which is used to move the fish up and down in the water. It will inflate and the body will rise, and it will deflate, which will make it sink. They also have the caudal fins, which are especially important because they propel the fish forward. Now here are some diagrams. This is the internal of a fish. And then here is an external of a fish. Next class to discuss is amphibians. Amphibians are broken up into three orders. Anura, without a tail, includes frogs and toads. Urodela, which have a tail their whole life, have salamanders and newts. And Apoda, which have no feet, contain worm-like creatures. Some characteristics of amphibians include that they are cold-blooded, they have a three-chambered heart, they hibernate during the winter, spend part of their life in water and on land, and they go through metamorphosis. Now I'm going to tell you about their organ systems. They have a closed circulatory system, internal skeleton structure, and they use lungs and their skin to breathe. For reproductive uses, the eggs are laid in water through direct external fertilization. The nervous system is basically the same as other vertebrates, with a central brain, a spinal cord, and nerves throughout the body. Now for their digestive system. Amphibians swallow their prey whole, with some chewing done in the oral cavity in some species. Food goes down the esophagus. The relatively short esophagus is lined with hair-like fibers that help transport food into the stomach. Then after the stomach, it goes into the intestines, and then it gets excreted, which leads to the excretory system. Amphibians excrete through feces and urine. They also rid themselves of waste through the sweat glands. Some special structures for amphibians include that they have webbed feet for swimming, and they have large hind legs for leaping away from predators. And now here's an internal diagram for you. And here is an external diagram. Next on our list is the reptiles. There are four orders in the reptile class: Testudinata, which are turtles; Crocodilia, which is, you guessed it, crocodiles; Rhynchosophenia, that are Tuatera; and Squamata, like snakes and lizards. Some reptile characteristics are that they're covered with tough, dry scales, they have a three-chambered heart, they're ectothermic, they breathe with lungs, and they also lay eggs. Now about their organ systems. They have a closed circulatory system, an internal skeleton structure, and they breathe through lungs. Reptiles reproduce internally, and their digestive system starts in the mouth and its salivary glands, then goes through the esophagus, then to the stomach, and through the intestines and ends in the cloaca. Reptiles excrete nitrogenous waste in pasty or dry form as crystals or uric acid. 2 small kidneys are used in excretion. The nervous system of a reptile consists of a brain, a spinal nerve cord, nerves running from the brain or spinal nerve cord, and sense organs. Reptiles have smaller brains compared to mammals. Some special structures of a reptile include that they have thick skin to retain water. They also have a very good metabolism.
Here is an internal diagram of a turtle, and here is an external diagram of a turtle.
After reptiles comes birds. There are so many orders of birds, but there are only about 5 main ones. Psittaciformes, which includes many different parrots, and Cirriformes, which includes ducks, geese, wrens, Struthoniformes, an example being the ostrich, Stritchformes, which are owls, and Passeriformes, which are sparrows, crows, and wrens. Some characteristics of birds include that they have a closed circulatory system, they're warm-blooded, they breathe through lungs, they have a 4-chambered heart, and are covered in feathers. Now for their organ systems. They have a closed circulatory system, an internal skeleton structure, they breathe through lungs. The digestive system starts with the mouth. After leaving the mouth, food passes through the esophagus on its way to the stomach. There's an enlarged area of the esophagus called the crop. The crop also allows food to be softened before it enters the stomach. It then gets ground up in the gizzard, then goes through the intestines where the food is digested and absorbed. After that, the food ends up through the large intestines, and then the excess waste gets excreted. Birds excrete through urine or feces. Doing this gets rid of the unnecessary waste. Birds reproduce internally and build nests to lay their eggs in. The nervous system of a bird consists of the brain, sense organs, and nerves. Nerves carry messages from the sense organs, such as the eyes, to the brain. Nerves also carry messages from the brain to the muscles. Some special structures of birds include that they have wings for, flying. They also have a very fast metabolism. Without it, they wouldn't be able to keep their weight in check and may not be able to fly off the ground with those specialized wings they have.
Here is an internal structure of a bird, and here is an external structure of a bird.
There is one last vertebrate to talk about, and that being mammals. Mammals have many orders, but there are 3 main ones. Marsupials, animals with pouches, like the kangaroo or koala, placental, such as elephants and whales, and monotremes, that lay eggs, like the platypus. Some mammal characteristics include that they have hair covering their body, they have a 4-chambered heart, they're endothermic, and they give birth to live young. They also have sweat glands. Now, the mammals' organ systems. They have a closed circulatory system, internal skeleton structure, they breathe through lungs, and reproduce with internal fertilization. A mammal's digestive system is a lot like all the other vertebrates we've talked about today. The food enters the mouth, goes down the esophagus, and then into the stomach, which then leads to the small intestines, then into the cecum, and then the large intestines, and then finally the rectum. The excretory system is responsible for the eliminations of waste produced by homeostasis. There are several parts of the body that are involved in this process, such as the sweat glands, the liver, the lungs, and the kidney system. As I said before, with the digestive system being the same as all the other vertebrates, the nervous system is pretty much the same too. Although a mammal has a highly developed brain, nerves and sensory organs such as the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and touch. Some special structures of a mammal include that they have a mammary gland, which is used to produce milk for their young. They also have opposable thumbs. And before we leave today, here is an internal image of a mammal, I chose the elephant, and here is an external diagram of an elephant. Thank you for watching Science with Olivia. I was your host, Olivia. Come back next week and we'll learn about more crazy science stuff. Okay, see you later.